What's up, YouTube? Capital G here. Welcome to another episode of The Excellent Adventures. These are the excellent adventures of True King Graydles, a very unique deck that actually is quite potent. And one of the things that I will say about the True Kings is I feel like they're kind of as an archetype, one of those archetypes that can be splashed into a bunch of other archetypes. They give a lot of kind of lesser tier archetypes like Graydles a whole bunch of offensive potential, and they give these decks playmaking ability. Now, I've always thought that Graydles were cool in the sense that, well, being able to snatch steal any of your opponent's monsters is pretty nice, I would say. But the fact that they're one of the few decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! That really punish your opponent for randomly or just kind of recklessly attacking face-down monsters. There used to be this old axiom that you don't attack face-down monsters because you have no idea what it could be. Graydles are the definition of do not do that, but at the same time, there's always been very cool ways of, popping your own Graydles and making it so your opponent doesn't really get a choice. And with this build, not only do you obviously have Graydle Impact, which Graydles always have ran, but you have the Water True King that can pop Graydles, and then you can take your opponent's monster, and you have Diagram as well. And it can lead to some very explosive plays like you guys are going to see. So, haven't done an Excellent Adventures in quite some time because everything has to fall together, but this is a perfect example. I believe we have 4 duels, and looks like the opponent is playing a Phantom Knight variant. I believe there's a TG Werewolf in the graveyard. So he starts out with Dante plus 4 back row. Obviously, this is a level 3 centric deck so that he can, spam out those rank 3s. So there could be some BAs in here. I haven't actually looked at his deck. I've only looked at the other one. You see right here, he's going to open with Diagram. He's going to summon that Dp-Ygo. And this is what I'm talking about, guys. This is the explosive play. Not only does he get the True King, the Water one on the field, but at the same time, he's able to banish 2 of those back rows because of the True King guy's effect. And then since he popped his own Dp-Ygo that was normal summoned and it was on the field, that's going to trigger, and he's going to take that Dante at the same time. And when you look at it, I mean, this guy basically lost like almost all of his entire resources. He has, what, 2 set cards? That is demoralizing. I would say that's pretty damn demoralizing. Now, he's going to use the Fog Blade to, I guess, stop the, potential battle phase. But you see he gets desperate here. He draws Allure of Darkness. I believe he set a copy, or I think actually he set the Phantom Knight launch, and then he decided to just blind Allure. After that, he was like, no mas, I'm donezo, because obviously these are completely dead cards if you don't have other cards to go alongside of him. And if you look at the True King guy, another thing that's pretty cool is, let's say that he would have taken a monster like Dante that's, it's not very powerful anymore, doesn't have any more materials. He can easily pop that said monster with the Diagram, or he can just, pop this Dp-Ygo. The monster would go back to his opponent, and he'd have something to attack if, that was the right play or something like that. So you even get resources for Diagram even after you've used your Graydles effect. I think that is really pretty neat. Let's go to Duel 2. I kind of forgotten what the matchups are, but I feel like they're all competent decks. Okay, the second one is against Volcanic True Draco, I believe. It's kind of like the deck that I showed you guys a few days ago, and I would say this is a really solid opening. In fact, I think it's going to be a pretty close match. But you see right here, that is exactly what I'm talking about. You are punished so hard for just randomly attacking a face-down monster. Yeah, he gets the +1 with Volcanic Rocket, but at the same time, his opponent basically gets a plus, or at least a 1-for-1, because he gets to just, no, it's a plus, because you're taking away a monster on your opponent's side of the field and giving yourself one. So his Rocket is now basically his opponent's. Now, he's going to do a smart play here. He's going to pop his Volcanic Rocket with Diagram, and then he's going to get some search cards right there. You see that he got the shell to kind of get him to where he wants to go, but you see he is just going to get wrecked. His Volcanic Scattershot is, his Volcanic, Blaze Accelerator Reload. Oh my god, that gets banished. And then he's going to go into this really powerful play where he drops Graydle Dragon. He's going to pop his cards again, including that Volcanic Rocket that he did not need. Now he goes into the White Well. This is a really good play because even if his opponent does get to another copy of Reload and he gets the Scattershot play, chances are the White Well is just going to come back and be ready to beat his face in the next turn anyways. You see he gets the Masterpiece, and things are kind of looking up. Maybe he can set that True Draco Heritage and maybe summon Masterpiece. No, that was that Succession, or was that Heritage? It was same card. It was Heritage. Now he's going to go into beatdown mode. He does piercing damage. I don't think his opponent realized that the piercing damage was actually going to essentially kill him. And he doesn't even drop the Masterpiece. Now the question is, do you just go ahead and drop the Masterpiece last turn? Because he had True Draco Heritage and he had Diagram. Can't you tribute those two to summon the copy of Masterpiece? Now, I don't know if the Masterpiece would have actually done all of that much. Maybe it would have ended up dying or something like that. But I think I would have just summoned it rather than setting a Volcanic Shell and potentially just dying when that monster leaves the field. Because it's not like a Volcanic Shell is really going to defend you. Now he's up against, is this a Blue Eyes Max version? No, this is a Felgrand Blue Eyes. He's probably running Felgrand. You can see Art Brave Dragon in his opening hand. Now you see right here, I love being able to go defensive in this deck turn 1 or offensive. You guys saw in game 1, he decided to go offensive. He summoned his, you know, the Water True King, Snatch Stole the Dante, and was able to do a bunch of damage. This turn, even though he's going second, he just says, you know what, I'm going to take a free plus from my Graydle Impact. I'm going to set Graydle Gator in case you want to attack. I got a Solemn Strike to back me up against any other monster effects you're going to throw at me. So you can kind of play defensive. This time, he is going to go offensive. He's going to summon Graydle Slime. When you summon Slime, you're almost, well, excuse me, I was going to say you're going to summon Graydle Dragon, but no, he actually goes for White Whale. I think White Whale against 3 back row is a pretty smart play, but it falls in the bottomless. Now he's going to summon Spirit Dragon. He's going to attack. He tries to snatch. I did not know this. I did not know because he's responding with Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon's effect. So I guess that Dp-Ygo can target it. I had no idea you can use Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon in the damage step. I guess you could, because I was like, wait, what? Now it's gonna get Solemn Strike either way, or at least on YGL Pro you can. And he's gonna summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon. Maybe he should have went for White Spirit Dragon to try and pop the back row, because summoning big monsters that don't have protection against Graydle is just asking to lose your monster. You see right here that he has 2 water monsters on the field. Now he tried to pop him with the Water True King, doesn't work out, but it doesn't matter as long as he can still use those monsters in some effective way. He can just use them for Graydle Slime, and that's 2 monsters on the field that he can obviously blow up. At the same time, your Blue Eyes White Dragon is now my Blue Eyes White Dragon. He's going to use Graydle Split, and I think that that is exactly enough damage for game. Same time, even if he had more back row to potentially protect him, he'd have lost those back row for from Graydle Dragon anyways. And if you guys have noticed, it's not like he's ever been spamming out synchros. This is a deck that can synchro. He's gone into White Whale. He has gone into Graydle Dragon a couple of times, but this is a deck that is still relatively link ready. You don't see him spamming a bunch of cards out of his extra deck. Looks like he's playing against rank 10 right here. I don't know why this card, oh, there it is, has not, what's it called, is not loaded. And this is just, again, another example. I just want to beat this into the ground. You do not attack face down monsters. He ends up attacking with Dora. Your Dora is my Dora. And chances are, if you're playing trains, and somebody takes your Dora and you don't have a response, you're going to get kind of like OTK. You see he goes for the Graydle Slime Jr., and now he's just kind of swagging on him. I think that he's just going to ignore the max in. He's like, yo, I'm just going to game you. Not going to play Upstart Goblin because I don't want to give you any more life points, and that was just a swift victory. I like the fact that if you set up with a set monster, unless your opponent is going to be willing to use a Kaiju on it or a Regeki or a Dark Hole, they're that worried about that face down monster. If they summon something big, as you guys saw in a couple of these duels, if they summon a Blue Eyes, or if they summon something like an alternative dragon or a Dora and they run it into that, well, that monster just becomes your monster, and now your opponent just has this giant headache that they put on the field and you didn't take any damage and you got their monster at the same time. Let me show you guys what the deck actually looks like. That is not the deck. That is a very old deck that we have. I think it is True King Graydles. There we go. So it's a pretty standard build when it comes to like the Graydle lineup. You don't run that many True Kings, just like the basic ones. You don't want to run the fire one. I mean, you got 5 different targets for your diagram. Interesting to see 3 copies of Pot of Desires in here. I guess that's because all the Graydle cards, like all the important ones, you can run multiples of them. And I think that if the True Kings are dead, like if you get the Earth guy whose name I can't pronounce, Lycothasm or something like that, you can pitch it to the graveyard for something like a Twin Twister, or you can blow it up in your hand for a diagram. You can get the water guy, and then the water guy might be something that you can summon a little easier. Or I guess if you could summon both of them, you probably would want to summon the water one because it does have that nuke effect to get rid of your opponent's like problem back row. It's a very interesting deck. It can kind of go first or it can go second. You do have things like Max C to potentially stop your opponent from going second. I guess some other cards that you could run in this deck, you could probably run some, I guess, matchup depending. If you were running against a deck like Zodiac, you could probably run some dimensional barriers and stuff like that. I just love the fact that this is one of the few decks in the game, well, not really this, but Graydles, one of the few decks that can kind of set cards. We have so many things like you have Didnt kind of running around everywhere, and it seems like no matter what face-up monster you put on the field, it's threatened. I like the fact that you have something that can actually set a monster and say, hey, what am I playing? You know, are you going to risk attacking this, or are you going to use a very valuable resource like a Kaiju or a Regeki just to get rid of one Graydle monster, which is not very important because if you have something like Graydle Impact, you get Graydle monsters for free every single turn. And even when your opponent does use things like Strike on your big True Kings, or when you can't get to them, you still have this Joker sitting in the graveyard that can activate, that can throw down that Graydle Dragon, that can just nuke the board and do a whole bunch of really good stuff. Or you can go White Whale and just protect yourself from the Dridents and the Solemn Strikes and those other cards. Well, I guess they would Solemn Strike the White Whale, but I guess replace the Solemn Strike with maybe something like a Torrential Tribute or something like that. So just a very interesting and unique deck that I thought that you guys might enjoy. If you guys did enjoy the video, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you guys for watching. As always, I will have a link to the deck in the description for those of you who are interested, because again, I think you can take this on Dueling Book. It is fairly link ready. Maybe throw in a couple of link monsters. I'm not sure if you need 3 fusion monsters, but maybe you want to run all of them. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already. This video has been brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audible.com/MegaCapitalG. Over 180,000 titles to choose from on your mobile device. I'm listening to the amazing I Can't Make This Up by Kevin Hart. Link in the description.